right, good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank everyone for coming, especially some of the customers who are here and businesses both behind me and right here at this great restaurant. We want to talk about something that we've been doing in this area that was highlighted in many ways with the incident that happened, I think, a week or so ago, but also how it actually is part of what we're really piloting here and we're trying to roll out perhaps in different areas of Albuquerque. So to speak about a little bit of this, let me just start with a little bit about what this is. So this is about problem response teams. And problem response teams are a dedicated set of officers who are designed to work with a specific area in our community that has a history of essentially high crime. And so these are dedicated officers. You can hear about how this works in a little bit. This is similar to what we're doing in the downtown policing or downtown public safety district, but that's obviously like a much bigger, denser area. So this is a smaller version of this, and this is a key component of our community policing efforts. So when we talk about community policing, it means getting the community into our police department. That has more to do with DOJ and community policing councils. Then it also has to do with getting our police department out in the community, but establishing those formal relationships with officers, typically on foot and on bike. And that's something that's very different in many ways than we have done in the past. And so this team for this particular intersection in this shopping center here at Coors and Central has a sergeant and 2 officers that are dedicated to it. And that means working with the businesses here and also the surrounding neighborhoods to try and reduce crime in all ways. Now, this team, as I mentioned, is really about the West Central Business Corridor, specifically around Central and Coors, and is part of our Southwest Area Command, which you also see officers here. This area was really identified as one of the highest crime incident areas in the Southwest Area Command, and so that's why we're starting here. And for obvious reasons, whether it's Albertsons or Dion's or the restaurants, we all know this is a high-trafficked area, of course, for our community too. Now, I want to talk a little bit about some of the results that we've seen so far in this. Compared to last year at this time, we had basically 132 calls for service right here at this intersection. And 95% of those went through 911 or 242 cops. This year so far, we're down. We have 115 calls, which is a slight decrease, but a meaningful decrease. But most importantly, only 50% of those calls went through 911 and 242 cops. The rest of them were all initiated by our own team. And so this actually is a great way. Essentially, we're cutting out the middleman, if you will, in terms of citizens calling in, and we're actually proactively policing again. That's what this is about, and this is a direction we want to go in for the whole department, but this is really one of the first places where I think we're able to demonstrate how it works and is both more efficient and more effective for Albuquerque. Now, before I hand it over to our City Council President, I do want to talk about the incident a little bit that happened last week. We mentioned this in our initial press briefing, but the incredible thing for our community is that when these teams are actually in the area, they can also respond incredibly fast when very, very unfortunate disasters or incidents happen. And so this was a situation where Sergeant Middleton, who's going to speak in a minute, and his team, they were literally here on foot. And so they'll tell you a little bit about that story. But they were actually able to run, of course, behind the shopping center and through the different businesses and make sure they were literally the first responders, of course, with some fire folks who happened to be shopping at Albertsons. And they were able to team up and triage the situation and keep the public safe in a way that we could never do by calling it in. I mean, it's just a math about getting cars out here and responding. There is nothing faster than officers being literally on the scene on foot. And that's what we had, and that is a great thing for the city of Albuquerque. So we know we have many challenges when it comes to crime. We know this is still a high incident area. But we also know that we are seeing results with this program. And I want to thank the business leaders and the community for supporting this, and City Council, and of course the folks at APD for spearheading this effort. And so now I'm going to turn it over to our City Council President. I think she kind of shares this intersection in some ways with our other City Councilor, Ken Sanchez. So we're going to let them share a few words. Council President, Clarissa Pena.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. You know, I really appreciate the mayor and what he's doing, and I know he's implementing this community-based policing model at other area commands in different areas throughout the city, and I think it's important. As you know or may not know, I used to be part of SWAN, the Southwest Alliance of Neighbors, and the West Central Community Development Group, and they're dedicated to improve West Central and the community as a whole. And as this mayor stated, 111 Coors tends to have a higher rate of crime than other areas of the city in terms of the activity corridor with the commercial. But you know, I really want people to know that the southwest area of Albuquerque in general is really, there's a misperception. We actually have a lower crime rate than other areas of the city, but just like many other parts of the city, we do have areas that need more attention to, and this happens to be one of them, and it's been the focus. I know we started meeting probably like last November to just really try to tackle what some of these issues are. We've partnered with the Southwest Area Command. I see Deputy Chief Banez in the back, and I don't know where Deputy Chief Medina is, but as part of SWAN in West Central, you know, we used to use this community-based model years ago, and then now that the mayor did a really wise decision by hiring those two men, you know, they've really worked hard to embrace that entire model, and I think it's really important for our community. And as the mayor stated, you know, we have right now a dedicated sergeant and two officers that have just done a stellar job in terms of the response needed for this area, for people to make sure that they feel safe in when they come to shop. There's an area that's been dedicated, and I know they're concentrating on 111 Coors initially, but they're going to expand to the entire West Central corridor from the river to 98th Street and then down Old Coors. It's an area that the West Central group has been focused on for many years, and as you know, there's a lot of promising things happening and coming to the area. So we just want to make sure that we're approaching this not so much from the crime aspect of, you know, finding the bad guys and arresting them, but really looking at our community and really getting involved and doing the community-based model in order to be able to provide services and resources for people out here, because oftentimes some of the folks out here aren't necessarily doing criminal activity, but you know, they're homeless and in need of services. So I just really want to commend Stella and SG back here hiding. They've just really done an outstanding job. And Sergeant Middleton, he's just incredible. My husband stated at a meeting the other day that, you know, these officers have to be commended, because when all of us are running away from situations like this, these guys are running towards it. So I want to thank them. And I guess I introduce Councilor Sanchez?
Sure. Thank you, Council President Pena. What a great day for Albuquerque and Albuquerque's west side. I have my business on Albuquerque's west central area, just a few blocks from here. And over the years, we have experienced some problems. But we've come a long way as a community, working together in collaboration with the Albuquerque Police Department. And I want to thank Mayor Keller for his work and the council. We raised your sales tax. Unfortunately, we had no other choice. A few months ago, we increased that by 3/8 of a cent. And we have increased the number of police officers that are working with the Albuquerque Police Department today. Today, we have increased that number by 100 officers, and the goal is to increase those by 400 officers within the next 3 more years or 4 years. But we've done a really good job in the number of officers that are coming to Albuquerque, and that's how we can implement these type of programs with community-based policing. And it's great to see James, who owns this place here, you know, working with the Albuquerque Police Department. I mean, he was so close to the incident that happened with his restaurant right here just last week. But fortunately, Sergeant Middleton and his team were working in collaboration together and responded to the call almost immediately. But if you recall back a few years back, we had a Walmart here on Albuquerque's west side. They left saying that there was just too much theft going on at that Walmart. But if you look at the businesses along this corridor today, you know, the businesses here are thriving. And we want people to come not just from the west side, but throughout Albuquerque to enjoy the cuisine of these fine restaurants here in this community, because we've got a lot to offer on Albuquerque's west side. And I'm really pleased to see that when the tactical team is out here working, they're not just here working to arrest people, but also at the same time to help individuals that are in need. And I want to also thank the director of the bus transit department, Director Toon. They moved the bus stop I think that has made it a lot safer in this area. But I especially want to thank members of the business community that have invested their dollars right here on Albuquerque's West Central. We want to make sure that we give back to you. And we want to make sure your businesses are safe, and most importantly, those patrons that are, go into your different businesses, come back time and time again. We've got Smith's they've been here for many years. We've got Albertsons directly across the street. We've got this restaurant here. We've got Freddy's. We've got a lot of great places here. So please, if you don't live on Albuquerque's West Side, come to Albuquerque's West Side, because it will be safe and you will enjoy coming to this part of the city. Thank you.
Okay, and now we're going to hear from one of the responders from the incident last week, and also the sergeant in charge of this problem response team, Sergeant Larry Middleton. Sergeant, ready?
Yeah.
Good afternoon. As I said a few times, my name is Sergeant Larry Middleton. I've been lucky enough to be permanently assigned to the supervisor of the Southwest Problem Response Team. I just want to thank everybody for coming here, especially the individuals behind me. This is the grassroots. This is the citizens of Albuquerque, the business owners. They live here, and if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing. So from my heart, I want to say thank you very much for this. I also kind of want to give you a little bit of background. In December, I was given the opportunity to look at ways to start the West Central Safety Center corridor. And by doing that, I had to look at what areas were identified as high call volume, which ended up being Coors and Central. So that, I was given 2 officers to work on reducing calls for service. But what's different between this and what we've originally been doing is what we're doing now is we're trying to hit it at the grassroots level. So we have my Coast team members with me here today, and we look at trying to help people. So let's, for example, we got somebody who does a shoplifting, and we look at it and see what we can do and what actually causes shoplifting. Do they need additional resources? Do they need financial help? Things, whatever the city can do. That's kind of what we're in. And this team really doesn't involve me. I'm just lucky enough to come and speak. It's my officers. Officer CJ Heitzman right here. He's been over 30-year veteran with the police department. He retired and he came back for some more, and he is awesome. And then Officer Stella Candelaria, if we can just say hi. And then of course I want to recognize my boss, Lieutenant Diab and Commander Espinosa. And then I want to personally say thank you to the counselor, Councilor Pena, and Councilor Sanchez. Thank you so much, and the mayor. Because without you allowing us to do this, we would not be able to see such a positive impact. The mayor talked to you. You got a 46% reduction in calls for service in the area. That's huge. Part of the reason for that is every one of the business owners behind me have my cell phone number. And they all call us and they say, hey, we have suspicious activity in the area. Send an officer if you have. You're going to hear from a few of them where we've been on the spot when they have had shopliftings and events where we've been able to catch individuals in the act, and they end up having multiple felony warrants. My officers were actually kind of late, and the reason for the delayment is they got a felony arrest on their today before this event. So I mean, they're always working and probably mad at me because I'm keeping them here for a minute. So like I said, I want to tell you that if it wasn't for with them going along with this, we would not be able to be where we are today. So thank you guys so much for everything. I kind of want to talk about the Monday's event and what happened, and where our job is to respond to critical incidents. But this team took it upon themselves while I'm in doing paperwork about the incident. The 2 officers went and checked on the well-being of everybody that was here. They personally went without any direction from myself or anybody else, went and checked on them, see if they can provide additional resources, our chaplain unit, or maybe behavioral science division. They did that on their own, and I want to give them a hand for that, because that's the kind of work that we need to see. That was directed by them, and when I heard that, I was blown away, because that's what we need. We need officers who care about the community. Our Coast team we're working directly with entities such as Healthcare for the Homeless, and Block by Block, who come and help pick up some needles and things like that are around. So we're trying to take a different approach to this. I just want to once again say thank you so much, and thank you to Casa Taco for allowing us to hang out. And I do have a few managers and owners that would like to just say a few words. And also, I have Nancy. See, you get in front of the camera and you get nervous. So Nancy Montano from the West Central Business Development Group that also would like to say something. So if I can get Nancy to speak first, and then after that, Don, if you would like to talk.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Nancy Montani. I'm the Executive Director of the West Central Community Development Group, and I want to point out our President of our board, Johnny Pena, and also Jerry Gallegos. We've been doing work on West Central for over 20 years, you know, trying to do revitalization and redevelopment in the area. And one of the areas we have worked on is in terms of the safety plan and having, you know, safety in our community. We've been involved with the 111 Central group for, I think it's been going on now for over 10 years, attending meetings here with the Southwest Area Command when Deputy Chief Banyas, and Deputy Chief Medina were here. So we've been involved in trying to lead the efforts for West Central. Last year, we were able to work with the homeless, help for the homeless in terms of some of the things that businesses and residents were bringing to us about needles, you know, being strewn about, you know, West Central. So we're able to work with them and find out some particulars on how we could help with needle exchange program here and providing boxes for safety, to safely dispose of the needles. We've also been working with Sergeant Middleton and the officers on the West Central Safety Plan. Our office is at 5921 West Central, just down the road, and we have opened our doors to APD, the sergeant and his officers, so they now have a place to come when they're on their bikes or when they're busy. They can just come in, and it's also going to be a place for residents and for folks who need help can come and receive assistance, you know, from all the programs and services that we hope will come with this initiative. So we're really grateful to the Southwest Area Command to reaching out and coming to us, and that we're able to work with the businesses to help with this safety plan that we have going. Thank you very much.
So Don, if you wouldn't mind coming up and saying a few words. This is Don, the General Manager at the Albertsons at Coors and Central.
How y'all doing today? So first off, I want to say thank you to APD, Albuquerque Police Department, for their hard work and their effort here, and to Officer Middleton. A few months back, he came to talk to me about all this, the potential project here, and I just want to say that they're always around when you need them. We actually had a time when we were dealing with somebody in our store, and they walked right in and made it easy for us. They've made a very big impact in the area here. Just in the short time they've been doing it, I've seen it, and I think it's just a fantastic thing altogether. And I just want to say thank you, Mr. Mayor, for letting this go on, and it's made a big impact in our community, and it's a positive thing. And thank y'all.
And next, I'd like to introduce James, the owner of the Casa Taco.
I prefer handheld mics so we can do the drop the mic at the end of conversations usually, but I thought what a great idea, and thank you to the mayor and everybody for really kind of keeping the pressure on this area and keeping police here on a regular basis. It truly has helped. It's a huge difference from what we saw a year ago when we first moved into the space. So on behalf of my entire staff, who feels much safer these days, we just want to say thank you to everybody who's involved, and it's a great idea. We love the program and hope it continues, and all the support that we have already is amazing, and thank you very much.
All right, so what a great example of One Albuquerque coming together, whether it's City Council and our office, APD, and the community, the businesses, and I also want to mention even our Parks and Rec department. So you'll see some folks in green shirts, and they have an office very close by that the officers use for the bike patrol. And they're also some of the needle pickup and so forth is also tied in to Parks and Rec. So hopefully this is a great example of how we can come together to deal with some of our biggest challenges, especially crime. So I think with that, what we'll do, if there are questions, we can take some. We might do a few kind of for the group, and then we'll just break. And I think any of the business owners or counselors will be happy to speak to you one-on-one as well. Any questions for any of the speakers?
Can you estimate how many businesses these two officers will be patrolling?
Probably. Sergeant? What do you think?
25 or so.
Sounds about right. About 25 right now that they're patrolling.
Did you guys start in January patrolling? Was that initially when it actually started?
Started.
January, sir.
Yeah, we started in January. We planned it around November and December. We'd actually gotten a lot of calls from businesses into both the mayor's office and APD. And there were a series of meetings that kind of led up to this as the plan. Anything you want to add?
Just that on January 8th, we started an outreach. We had Healthcare for the Homeless Heading Home, Faith First, and Block by Block, and they went out there and they made contact with over 30 individuals that were provided resources, food, shelter, and bus passes. And we're actually doing another thing on Thursday, the same kind of huge outreach here on Thursday, where we're going to have over 30 volunteers just providing resources to anybody who might be in need.
Do you guys plan to expand this into other parts of the city or the Southwest?
We do. Where in the city? We probably are right now looking at trying to do one in each area command. So there's 6 area commands. The Downtown Public Safety District is kind of already its own version of this, which of course is much bigger. But we do believe that this is the best way. Again, we're testing it out here. We believe this is right now one of our best ways to deal with really high crime and high trafficked areas. So again, it's a tactical plan designed for a mix of commercial and residential and traffic. And so where that same combination comes together in parts of Albuquerque, we're going to be looking this down the road. But that is a good reminder. We cannot do this without more resources. So, you know, a lot of questions like, well, how come you weren't doing this before, et cetera, et cetera. This type of policing is resource intensive. And that's why we're doing what we're doing that Councilor Sanchez mentioned in terms of we've got to have more officers, and that's why we're so dedicated to doing that, because it enables us to do things like this. We're not going to be able to do this all over town given the amount of officers we have, which is why we continue to replenish the ranks. Okay, so it's probably pretty good. If you have other questions, just talk to folks individually. And it's Taco Tuesday. Thanks.